What if a scream could sum up all the pain, anger, and helplessness buried inside a person? That's exactly what happened when Jesse Pinkman in Breaking Bad let out that visceral cry. He can't keep getting away with it.
You can't keep getting away with it! He can't keep getting away with it! He won't.
It wasn't just an outburst. It was the turning point of his inner awakening, a moment where his consciousness collapsed and expanded at the same time. Let's dive into this scene and understand why it's so powerful. Jesse was always the human reflection in Breaking Bad's narrative, while Walter White sank deeper into his dark journey, transforming from a frustrated teacher into a crime lord. Jesse was the emotional anchor, a broken kid, full of flaws, but still clinging to a shred of morality. And that's exactly why this phrase became the echo of his soul. The unbearable weight of carrying on his shoulders everything Walter did without ever being able to stop it. In that moment, Jesse wasn't just screaming at Walt. He was screaming at the injustice of the world. He was screaming at himself for allowing so much. He was screaming at the universe as if begging for help. The scream wasn't just dialogue. It was catharsis. It was the soul of someone who could no longer endure so much manipulation and pain. And that's the fascinating detail. Breaking Bad always explored the contrast between cold choices and human consequences. Walt calculated, planned, manipulated. Jesse felt, suffered, carried. That scream was the first time we saw his pain explode in such a raw way. It was as if the mask had finally fallen, revealing not just a character, but a shattered human being. And that's where the scene connects so strongly with the audience, who hasn't ever felt like exploding, like screaming, like letting out everything the world insists on piling on us. Jesse became the collective voice of frustration. Maybe that's why this scene became such an unforgettable icon of the series. Now, let me open a quick parenthesis here. Imagine being able to watch this scene or any other masterpiece on a giant screen, anywhere you want. That's where the Anker Nebula Mars 2 Pro portable projector comes in. Compact, powerful, with cinematic sound. It turns any wall into a binge-worthy screen, whether in your room, your living room, or even outside with friends. The experience becomes so immersive that Jesse's scream feels like it cuts right through you. After all, if you're going to feel, let it be in high quality. Back to Jesse, that scream was also the awakening of his conscience. He began to realize he couldn't keep being Walter's puppet. The phrase is a watershed because from that moment on, Jesse wasn't just a victim. He started to fight back, to rebel, to refuse to be just another pawn. It is as if that he can keep getting away with it was also a call to himself. I can keep running away from the truth. I can't keep pretending I don't know who Walt really is. And this kind of psychological shift is what makes Breaking Bad more than just a show about drugs or crime. It is a story about the human condition, about limits, about identity, and there is something almost poetic in all of this. Walt always believed he was the architect of destiny, but in truth, Jesse was the mirror of what Walt didn't want to face. Jesse's scream is the echo of the conscience Walt had buried back when he first decided to cook meth. The weight of that scene also shows how broken Jesse already was. Every loss, every manipulation, every lie from Walt had been building inside him like a ticking bomb. When it finally exploded, it wasn't just about that moment. It was about his entire journey. It was as if Jesse was screaming for all the victims, for everything that was destroyed, for every shred of innocence he lost along the way. And then we realize that scream wasn't just a line of dialogue. It was the moment Jesse stopped being just the emotional sidekick and fully became the soul of the series. Walt was the brilliant, cold, dark mind. Jesse was the shattered but still human heart. And the most curious thing is that even broken, he remained the character the audience connected with the most. Because Jesse was flawed, made mistakes, got lost, but he never stopped being human. And in that scream, his humanity burst across the screen. If the phoenix in Saint Say rises from the ashes, Jesse in that moment was the opposite. Someone consumed by the ashes of his own destiny. But unlike the phoenix, he had no guarantee of rebirth. It was just pain, raw and devastating. And that's why this scene still echoes in the memory of everyone who watches it. Because it's not just about Walter White or about drugs. It's about the feeling of powerlessness we've all felt at some point in life. Jesse screamed what we all wish we could scream when everything feels unfair. So here's the question. Was that scream only Jesse's outcry? Or was it, in truth, the voice of all of us, suffocated by a world that so often seems to let the guilty always slip away?